Thanks for tuning in to Healthy Planet One, where we discuss healthy living from experts in each of their fields. This is your host, Patricia Starr.
And your co-host, Kimberly Knock.
Welcome. And today's guest on Healthy Planet One is Jim Gabriel. We are going to be talking about restorative therapies for pain and optimal health. Jim, welcome. It's great to have you. Are you there?
I'm glad to be here. This is Jim Gabriel. Hey, Kimberly and
Hi.
Pat. Yes.
Yeah, great. Now, Jim, I know that you've been a long time clinical and rehabilitative massage therapist, and you have both had a school up in Atlanta, and you now have your center here in Sarasota where you are performing neuromuscular and integrated structural therapies in conjunction with many, many others. So we're really excited to hear from you today. And just for our folks that are listening, if they're from Georgia, they may have remembered the name of ASHA, right, Jim? Which is the Academy of Somatic Healing Arts that you started in Atlanta. And poor Georgia's missing that now, right?
Well, sure, I miss them. They're great folks up there. And it was really exciting to innovate, to bring answers to people learning about what they can do with their body, what they can do for, what therapies can do for them that they probably didn't know. And yet the search goes on to keep learning ways to help people get over things that are chronic and ruining their quality of life. And so
well, I consider you a pioneer in this whole field. You've always been learning and always exploring, and it's always wonderful to work with you, Jim. We've had some great times together, right?
Right, Patty, that's for sure. Yep, that's right.
So now tell me, after all of this experience, you found some pretty interesting modalities that you are working with for your clients to be able to restore themselves and come back to optimal health. And what are some of those things that you're up to these days?
Well, the first thing is that about almost 40 years ago, I got started with computer-assisted electrotherapy, microcurrent therapy, the electroacuoscope for nerve tissue, and the electromyopulse for the connective tissue, muscles, bones, tendons, skin. And how these computer programs that can go through the tissues can pattern the tissues and restore function and circulation and actual repair of the tissues because of the ways that the cells are organized through the stimulation of these ionic waves through the body, changing the tissues and allowing them to heal. So we learned a lot about people who are almost too tender to touch and people with scar tissues that would affect them. And one was the abdominal scar tissue that people have after they get surgeries, hysterectomies.
Hysterectomies or tummy tucks, right? Yeah.
And hernia repairs and colon resections and all the gallbladder surgeries. And what happens is that people's connective tissue and the flow of energy through their guts gets interrupted, and their lymphatic flow in the center of their lymphatic system in their abdomen and all their organs there gets disrupted. The flow of circulation gets disrupted, and it affects their, when they have the surgeries, it affects their elimination. Sometimes it can affect how their body will lean to the scar tissue. So if it's an appendix, they lean down and to the right. They don't know that they're walking different. And they don't know that by leaning forward and to the right, their back of their neck and shoulders are being pulled because the body is pulling forward, and they start to get neck pain back there. And so they don't realize this. So what we did was found a way to work that scar tissue and change the texture of the scar tissue. And that allows the blood vessels to go through the scar tissue in a way that they get better circulation and lets them detox their lymphatics, and their colon works better. So doing that scar tissue is really amazing.
And I bet the person that came into you with neck pain didn't have a clue that was what was going on in their gut, right?
Absolutely. They didn't know that by bending forward, that they were creating strain in their lower back, and they were bending forward because their front of their body didn't want to stand up straight because it was pulling against the scar tissue. And if you notice women, they have a hysterectomy or a tummy tuck, or men or anybody who has a colon resection or hernia repair, that area will become like a tire down there, right there on their lower pelvis. And when we use that electrical current, and sometimes I'll put a plate under them to draw the energy through their body, and I'll use an instrument, or I'll put a plate on me and let the electricity go through my fingers as I massage that part of their abdomen, and that tire becomes soft like normal skin again. And it allows the blood to flow through so that they don't get as much swelling in their legs, and the lymph drains up through their body. And that area gets soft, and they notice that they stand different, their hips swing, women's hips swing like they're supposed to be, and they're not just pulled forward. And it makes people feel like they're younger. And then they also notice that, after I had that, I started eliminating the stinky stuff and all the greasy crap coming out of me. And then they felt better because their colon functioned better. They were able to eliminate better. So that was like a real break. Electricity could do things like that to reestablish a healthy fabric of the connective tissue of the gut and the muscles that are overlaid.
That's incredible. Can you give us a couple of really big examples that were really effective that you worked on?
Yeah, this one was a little bodybuilder, a French man. He was in his 90s, and he was a bodybuilder. He used to love to go to the beach. I could just see him out there running around with he was French. I could imagine him wearing one of those French bathing suits in all the shape. Yeah, and then he got some kind of cancer, and they ended up taking his colon out. Oh, no. And whatever the case is, that's what he had done. And then I got presented with it because it said the colostomy that they put in shut down. It wouldn't work. All the muscles and the colon and everything compressed the tube, and it couldn't work. And they were going to have to put another hole on the other side of him and put another colostomy in.
Oh, geez.
His son came in, and we all talked. And he came in. They decided to try what I do, and we worked that, and we got the pain out in the first treatment with the electricity running through it. And the second time we worked, he was able to get the poop to go through the tube, and he was able to use that thing, and he didn't have to get the tube on his right side.
So you opened up the tube then through the circulation effect, right?
Yeah, because the gut was so twisted up, and his colon is trying to eliminate what's also bound up in there. That the tube got kinked in there, and after releasing that scar tissue, which made everything rigid, his belly and his colon could move better. And then the tube wasn't compressed, and he could eliminate, and we saved him getting another surgery.
Wow.
And he years because, this was a guy who was a muscle, he lost 70 pounds after surgery of muscle tissue in his body. He was huge and strong, and it made him weak. It was like it gave him his life back. And then nobody thought about it. He went to the doctor, and nobody was interested in, well, how did this happen? Who helped you? How can I help some of my patients? We didn't get any of that.
Wow.
And that's something that this guy had gone through so much, and they were ready to put another colostomy on him. And it just tells you something, Patty.
Yeah.
Kimberly, it tells you that we are responsible for finding solutions from the professionals and people out there that we have to seek and keep seeking until we find something that will help us. Because there's many things out there to help us. And I'm just scratching the surface with a few things I do. But if people will seek and keep seeking, knock and keep knocking, they will find, and the door will be answered to them. They will find something that will help them. Don't give up.
Yeah. And of course, we know that all things aren't for all people. So there's always the opportunity for us to keep looking, like you said. And I know that that's what you do. You keep looking at different scenarios and different ways of helping people. So give us another example of where that exploration has taken you, Jim.
Well, the ozone therapy is wonderful. Like we had Dr. Smith. I think you guys had Dr. Smithers on earlier, and what a wonderful thing he does, where he injects ozone right into areas that are inflamed and need to heal, because ozone helps healing. It helps tissues repair. And what I do is I do something where people actually get into a tank, and their whole body is enveloped in ozone ozone gas, and it goes through the body and helps healing.
So it goes in through the pores?
It goes in through the pores.
And so there's what, different levels of ozone that you use, and what has been your results on that?
Well, just so people know, I don't know if you mentioned this, but ozone has been used to clean the water of Los Angeles, Seattle, Washington, Chicago, New York. It cleans the water. It kills viruses, bacteria, funguses, parasites, everything. And it does the same to the human body. It cleans out all these pathogens and stimulates oxygen, which helps fights every condition, fights any kind of bacteria, disease resistant or not. And it doesn't have any side effects except that you don't want to clean the body too quickly, because then the body have a hard time throwing all the toxins out. So we do it little by little. So ozone goes through the body and it helps relieve pain and inflammation. And it's been used before antibiotics. In the 1900s, you would go, and before they had antibiotics, they would bag your limb that was infected, and they would run the ozone through it. And when they had antibiotics, they said, "Oh, just take a pill," and they left that medicine behind.
Wow.
Yeah,
What,
I mean, we
why
don't.
why was it more? Was it quicker? Was antibiotics quicker than ozone, or what's the reason for that, Jim?
Well, everybody was so fascinated that you could take ozone, that you could take a pill and make something go away, or treat it with an antibiotic ointment, and that you could get rid of infection, that they just thought, well, this is so easy, we don't need to use all these contraptions. And after all, the pharmaceutical industry wants to do everything through relief is just a swallow away, as we used to say with the Alka-Seltzer advertisements, that you could just drop something.
Right.
So oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Kimberly.
Yeah. So this brings up a really great point, because you're talking about, the antibiotics and the ozone. So they could do similar things. However, we know now that antibiotics have a detrimental effect to our microbiome, the good biome. So bring up the point where ozone actually probably stimulates our good microbiome.
Yeah, the ozone is safe. It doesn't kill our healthy bacteria.
Right.
It kills all of these anaerobic destructive bacteria that you'd find in a sewer. It kills all these bacteria that are involved in putrefaction and the sickness, and supporting it kills all the bad bacteria and viruses,
and stimulates our
it stimulates our healthy bacteria. It helps it acts like an antioxidant. It takes out free radicals in the body, and it gets rid of everything. The viruses, and activates viruses, bacteria, yeast, fungi, parasites, protozoa, everything. Yeah.
So give us an example, Jim, of somebody that's come into you and they're kind of, they don't know what to do, and you have identified that ozone would help them, and you put them through a treatment. Give us an example of what that looks like and what their results were.
Well, I just had a guy with eczema. He went to Cuba, went fishing. He ordered octopus, and there was some part of the octopus, like with a lobster, you might get they eat the tamale. People say, what is that? Is that crap? No, that's some of the liver. That's some of this. You can eat that. Well, he thought that something with the octopus was like a tamale, and it turned out to be some waste product that he ate. It might have been some kind of scum or some kind of putrefied material that was in the bacteria. Yeah, in the octopus. And then he got all over his whole body eczema. The whole body was eaten like alive by these boils and everything and irritants. We put him in the tank right away, and it started to take it out. He's on his number 7, 8, 9th treatment now, and it's complete. Not about 95% gone now, and his skin is smooth, and he's feeling a lot better. And not only that his cysts in his mouth, he had cysts and dental infections, and cysts, all that stuff just shrunk up. And last time he said, "What happened?" He said, "Just let me lay here. It feels great." I said, what's going on? He said, well, that whole big swollen area in my mouth